As it's the first Friday of the month of May, the Church has a long-standing tradition to celebrate the first Fridays of each month in devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the Church has received that devotion and that tradition of devotion from the Sacred Heart of Jesus himself, when he reveals his Sacred Heart to Margaret Mary Alacoque, a religious sister of the Visitation Order in the south of France, an obscure little town called Paray-le-Monial. And in revealing his Sacred Heart to her, he says, "Behold the heart that has so loved humanity as to give all of itself out of love, but has received in return only coldness, indifference, irreverence, and scorn." To console his Sacred Heart, he commanded Margaret Mary Alacoque to receive communion on the first Friday of each month in reparation for sins committed against the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And he invites us to do the same, that we might love not only with the human heart, but more so, that we may love with his own heart. That's the promise that Jesus gives us when we become devoted to his most sacred heart. And so I encourage everyone to hold fast and faithful to the devotion of First Fridays in reparation for sins against the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Jesus has asked that we, on these First Fridays, for 9 consecutive months, receive communion, and that we might receive graces because of our love and devotion to his Sacred Heart. Now, while it's difficult for us to do that now, especially because of self-quarantining due to the coronavirus, we nevertheless can receive communion spiritually and fulfill that part of Jesus' request to participate in the Eucharist for 9 consecutive months. Jesus has promised that those who have a devotion to his most sacred heart will find in his Sacred Heart an infinite ocean of mercy. He has also promised that those who have an image of the Sacred Heart set up in their home and who honor and venerate that image will be blessed, and that that house will be blessed. And our Lord has also promised that those who faithfully fulfill this devotion over the span of 9 consecutive months will receive the grace of final repentance and therefore die in the state of grace. Look at the store of infinite treasures that are available through a devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Saints in the making, let us, you and me, beginning today on this first Friday of the month of May and continuing all the way for every first Friday until the first Friday of January 2021 and even beyond, let us participate in this first Friday devotion, dedicating and devoting our own heart to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, that we may love with his heart, that he might give us this heart transplant and remove from our own hearts, replacing it with his most sacred heart, that we may love as he himself loves. My dear friends in Christ, as you and I make room for this devotion of First Fridays and the Sacred Heart of Jesus, what we're doing is making space for grace.